Hello, and welcome back to Let's Play Pathfinder Kingmaker. I'm your host, BringItDon, and I was looking at the projects here. I think they all skip you ahead 14 days. It doesn't say it on all of them, but the first one we did skip me ahead 14 days when I claimed the outskirts. This one says 14 days, or, well, spends 2 weeks resolving the loyalty. Yeah, I think they all skip you ahead 14 days. So I'm going to hold off on doing that right now. And this episode, we're just going to explore the capital. We're going to talk to everybody in the capital, get to know our last 3 companions we haven't talked to yet, so we get caught up in that regard, and yeah, just browse the capital. I've explored some of it already off camera, and I found a couple of neat things. But yeah, we'll talk to like Lander over here and all these other fellows. Let's start with Lander. Alright, Lander Labita. A tall young man of about 17 stands before you. He's athletic, and his composure and bearing hint at nobility. A faint smile curves his lips, but his gaze remains cold and examining. As you approach, Lander stops studying his fingernails, his broad smile revealing brilliant white teeth. Ah, greetings. Greetings, your grace. Oh, apologies. Just where are my manners today? Lander laughs still with no mention of your title. Must have had my head in the clouds today. I'd like to learn more about you. Me? But I'm such a bore. Lander huffs indignantly, though he's clearly flattered by your attention. What would you like to know? Tell me about your family. House Labita is considered one of the most influential in Brevoy, and rightfully so. We own the fertile lands around the Lake, Reichel, and the Castle of Silverhall, an impressive structure, famous well beyond Brevoy's borders. We also control a significant amount of the lake and river shipping trade in the region. And if it's my family that's of interest to you, my father passed away long ago. My mother spent years attempting to marry my sister Alana off to our beloved king, Naleski Sertova. As for myself, well, family members I exist on the rare, or not so rare, occasions when I end up causing everyone trouble. Lander gives a disarming smile. Judging by that story, it seems no one is truly close to you. Close relations are a luxury that some people can't afford. Lander looks away for a moment before continuing. I once became close to a man I considered to be a mentor and a friend. I later learned he'd been using me to acquire information on my house's caravans for some local bandits. I learned much from that experience, and so I shall watch your entourage with a keen eye. I won't allow any untrustworthy or suspicious people to go unnoticed. You can trust me on that. What do you value most in people? Decisiveness. Lander answers immediately, then adds, well, sensible decisiveness. I have no taste for those who sit and mumble all day when the time to act has come, nor for those who rush in without consideration or planning. You came of age 2 years ago. Why, Labita, are you still heir to the throne, and not sitting upon it yourself? A throne is a curious thing. It owns you more than you own it. My mother bent over backwards to draw me into possession of my father's legacy, but I would like Lander to really see and do something in this world, before he becomes Lord Labita. You will return home eventually, won't you? Of course. You can't let a throne sit empty, after all. Especially not one so wealthy. Lander's eyes gleam. I will return, someday, but for today, my house can wait. I need to discuss politics and affairs of the barony with you. Always glad to provide counsel. Lander smiles. What's going on between the Royal House Sertova and the Aldori Sword Lords? To be blunt, sly schemers battling for power against stubborn blusterers. Long ago, both of them ruled a kingdom of their own. The Sertovas ruled over Isia, and the Aldori Sword Lords over Rosslyn. Then Cora Rogarvia came in with his dragons and made it abundantly clear to everyone that everything they saw around them was his. Who do you think ran quickest to express their deep devotion and loyalty? It certainly wasn't the Aldori. They fought to the last, and they almost died out as a result. Over the next 2 centuries, the Sertovas squeezed everything they could from the benevolence of their rulers. And now, after the vanishing of the Rogarvia line, the Naleski Sertova has seized the throne. But the Sertovas owe a blood debt to half of Brevoy. It will prove difficult for them to hold on to that power. This makes them paranoid. They see enemies everywhere, and the Aldori are no exception. What's my barony's role in the Sertova-Aldori conflict? I'm certain they'll keep trying to win my support. The Aldori are brave and senseless. You're more likely to pull them out of trouble than be the one receiving aid. And the Sertovas are smart, but they'll gladly sell you out if they see profit in it. You're also unbearably boring. All of which means you made a wise decision when you picked me as your ally, Lander smiles. I wouldn't pander to either of them, but I'd also avoid angering either of them until there's good cause. What can you tell me of the River Kingdoms? Have you ever seen a jar full of spiders? It's much the same, only on a greater scale. A plethora of small nations and city-states that form spontaneously and dissipate just as rapidly. Nevertheless, there are those that could potentially pose a serious threat or become a promising ally. Podax makes a fine example here. That's enough business. Any advice for me, counselor? I've met Castangares before. He was an amiable, gregarious man. Not at all like he is now, Lander sighs. Now he's a broken man. Now consider it wise to trust broken people with important positions. That's interesting. How do you like being regent? It gives me great satisfaction, your grace. The very thought of how much I influence the barony. But you must be asking after my responsibilities. All matters are well in hand, and by no means do they hamper my other affairs. Here's Ragungar, or Ridge. Alright, so this is talking to him in general. I'm going to talk to him outside, where he's standing next to Octavia. Not here.
How may I serve you, your grace?
Oh, that's right, we can continue his story as well. Pardo, oh, let's do this. What did you do to be exiled? I believe I have the right to know.
Fair enough. For a Garess, the prosperity of the house and the honor of the name stands above all else. And I was betrothed to a widow from another noble house. This union was of great importance to the family. However, 3 months before the wedding, I met a commoner girl, gentle and pure, and we fell in love.
Oh, we've heard all this before.
My father was furious. I'd set a pointless love affair above the interests of the house. Don't imagine that I asked for pity.
Yeah, that's weird.
Gets what they deserve.
If I were to offer you a public position, what job would you like to do?
I believe I can manage to uphold the law. Being a warden would suit me well.
So can I offer him the position now? So this episode's not going to be very exciting. Again, we're just talking to people and exploring the capital. Not a... It's a filler episode. That's all. I still can't offer it to him. That's odd. Alright, let's get back out of there. I'm gonna go talk to that storyteller that's in here as well. Well, let's see if Munzi has anything to say first. Alright, nothing new. That's good. I'm glad that they don't just add a bunch of unnecessary dialogue to the companions. Yeah, you sure you want to see the Dwarven ruins? Why open up old wounds? Yeah. Alright, Harem looks down and strokes his beard a few times before answering. I'm not sure, Donal. This will likely bring nothing but pain. I suspect I'll regret going to the ruins. But nevertheless, I ask, please take me there. Yeah, I'm interested why he wants to go to the ruins. Maybe to confirm that everything comes to an end or what have you. The storyteller. The man standing before you resembles an elf, but a very old one. His face is wrinkled and his white beard falls to his waist. The man seems to be completely blind. The old man stares past you with unseeing eyes. He seems to be consumed in his thoughts. He mutters a soft melody, swaying back and forth slightly to its rhythm. The man shudders briefly and stops singing. His mouth opens and closes a few times, bringing to mind a fish brought ashore. Ah, who is there? Is that you, your grace? Who are you? I'm an elf from Kionan. My name is not important. I am the storyteller, collector of stories. I collect unknown legends of ancient times. The man smiles, but it doesn't seem to be directed toward you. Long ago I was a smith in Kionan. The fire of the forge has burned out my eyes, but I'm grateful for it. If I could see, I would yet forge suits of armor for Iadara's guards. Instead, I have stepped on the path of an adventurer and gatherer of ancient legends. The old man ponders silently for a moment. Many peoples are long dead, their homes crumbled to dust, and their bodies turned to ash. Only legends can still tell us of their triumphs and defeats, their joys and fears. I'd be so interested to hear the stories told about us after our demise. I've always been drawn to the Stolen Lands, where countless expeditions, armies, and even kingdoms have met their untimely ends. When I learned of a new barony being founded in the heart of these lands, I knew I wanted to be part of its story, so I made the journey here. Are you really an elf? Do other elves age like you have? A common question. Despite my unusual looks, I am an elf. And an old one, yes. Perhaps older than any other elf of Kionan. However, I doubt my age alone is responsible for my appearance. I keep the stories of many people and races, some forever gone from the face of Golarion. But they live on in my memory and my heart. When I accept a new story, I'll lock it within myself, bearing the weight of its words and the emotions they invoke. I sometimes think that I probably should have died long ago, but some incomprehensible force is keeping me alive and granting me the ability to continue my quest to gather stories. Be it divine power or fell curse, I am grateful either way. How could you tell it was me? The old man smiles slightly. It is not so hard to recognize a ruler by the way he walks. No one in here steps as confidently as you, Your Grace. Alright, would you care to trade stories with me? The man's voice rustles like autumn leaves. I'm a collector, not a trader. If I share a story with you, you receive the power to pass it further, changing or embellishing it, whether willingly or not. Can I be certain that you will keep my stories intact in their absolute purity? The storyteller ponders for several moments. No, I do not think so. At least not yet. These legends are the most precious, valuable things of this world, the last remnants of ancient tribes. They are beacons illuminating the way to the past, allowing us to meet generations long gone. I cannot let their light fade. The path to the past must not be lost. The old man thinks for a moment, then continues. But I can't offer you a deal, Your Grace. If you find some items belonging to eras past, bring them to me. If I recognize the stories hidden on those items, I will gladly share them with you. If you find all the pieces of any ancient artifacts, I can even recall my smithing skills to unite them and restore their power. Okay, yeah. So I can bring him the antiquities that I've been finding. I need a wise advisor at my court. Would you like to serve me in matters of state? The storyteller's voice grows soft. Thank you for your words. I am unlikely to be able to interpret the intricacies of the political world, or the affairs of the treasury, but my advice regarding the magic of the arts would be useful to any ruler. I'll leave you to your legends till we meet again. The storyteller doesn't answer, his unseeing eyes staring blankly ahead. Alright, well, let's go grab my antiquities. After I see if he can be an advisor or not. I'm not sure. No, he can't be anything yet. It's interesting. So again, they're here. Oh, and someone had mentioned in the comments section, it's probably not a good idea to have a chaotic neutral advisor with a lawful good main character. And I agree entirely. But I'm interested to see how Harem's going to handle at least the first situation, because the way they worded it made it sound like we'd have to disagree several times before he refuse to take the position any longer. I just want to see how he handles it the first time, and if it's too awful, I think it's gonna be funny because of his personality. Yeah, let's go grab our right here, our thingamajigs. Let's see what he can do. And that should be everything in here. Then we'll head out to the actual. Yeah, here we go. May I? The storyteller gently touches the items from your pack. The scorched piece of metal is part of a curious artifact, known as a necklace of double crosses. Inside it, I sense a story of many deeds, not heroic, but low and maleficent. If you find all of its fragments, I'll be able to restore the artifact to recount its inglorious story. Alright, I've brought some relics. Are they worthy of a story? Storyteller's eyebrows raise. How interesting. May I, Your Grace? He gently touches the items from your pack. Whoa! 3,000 gold coins. Hot dog. A coin from a non-existent country. When Quarrel the Conqueror mastered Rostland, having claimed it for Brevoy, he prohibited the issuance and use of such coins. Both ordinary folk and the outdoorsy sword lords were required to use new coins, decorated with Quarrel's profile. But no one was quick to be rid of these prohibited coins. Oh no. In many houses, they still store boxes and whole chests of such coins, waiting for the day when Rostland declares its independence. The storyteller's fingers caress a symbol shaped like a tree leaf. And what is this? I hear the voices of trees, the smell of scent of fresh leaves. A dryad mark, is it not? I'd be happy to purchase it from you. 2,400 coins. The storyteller idly toys with the ancient, plain-looking coin. What was the name of the Calorian ruler who issued this coin? Does anyone remember now? What did the Cyclopes use it to purchase? Food, books, weapons? Perhaps someone's life or their freedom. Who can say? Its history was erased by the Earthfall, but I will buy it from you for significantly more than it was worth in its own time. The storyteller weighs the soldier's tag in his palm. The soldier does not ask where the banners of war are headed. He or she goes to battle, dies, and leaves it to others to decide whether the cause was just. This tag belonged to one of the many warriors who helped establish the glory of the Taladin Empire. If you would permit me, I'd gladly purchase it from you. The belongings of brave heroes who performed their feats here before you. I sense you would be interested to hear their story. These lands took many lives and spawned many legends. I can now tell you of a distant expedition undertaken by a group of Brevik heroes to a place known as the Drowned Trees. I'd be happy to trade the whole set of items for their story. Can you hear it calling to us? Let us hurry. Yeah, tell me about the Drowned Trees. Look at all this money I'm making. This is awesome. I thought he was going to restore this stuff. This is fun. I hear rowlocks creaking, river water splashing, bushes rustling and arrows singing through the air. I feel an invincible will, a cold resolution to finish what's been started, no matter the cost. My chain armor clings to my body, and my young hands grip a sword tightly. I am the leader of a group of brave souls set off to the Stolen Lands to clear them from bandits once and for all. Oh, that's very interesting. So we have an Inquisitor, a Paladin. Maybe we don't have a Sword Lord. We sail on a large freight boat. It serves as bait for the bandits, who keep throwing themselves at it only to find death. A death as inglorious as the life they've lived. From time to time we manage to capture a prisoner. While our Inquisitor talks to them, I go to the stern, shutting my ears to their cries. I remind myself that these are scum, drenched in blood to the elbow. I think upon our cause, freedom from my homeland, an independent Rosslyn. But still, my goosebumps rise with each pitiful cry. I must steel myself and be strong. Yeah, who's in our group? A paladin, a ranger, a sorceress, a priest, an inquisitor, and me, a fighter. All experienced combatants. Over and over, we've saved each other's lives in times of need. Yeah, why do you question the prisoners? The bandits attacking our boat are small fry. We're looking for their main lair, a place known as the Drowned Trees. We seek the leader of the bandits, an underwater monster named Dargut Droon. We will not leave without his head. Have there always been so many bandits in the Stolen Lands? This land swarms with them, and we meet them more often than common merchants. You see, we started a rumor that the Outdoory sword lords are using this boat to sneak treasures out of the country. Now half the gangs in the area are hunting us. Please continue. At night, it seems a whole army is attacking our boat. Far too many for us to fend off, but luckily we don't have to. While they battle monsters we've summoned in pitch black magical darkness, we drink the potions we prepared and dive under the water. The scum break into the hold, but instead of treasure, they find their final surprise. The work of a Restovic alchemist, a trap. A dozen barrels of highly explosive oils. We watch from a safe distance as the boat is blown to pieces in a deafening explosion. Everything has gone according to plan. The more who die here, the fewer we'll meet in the Drowned Trees. We march through the forest, then camp to regain our strength. Their nest is close. Our Inquisitor discovered everything, even the location of their secret entrance. Today we rest. Tomorrow the Bandit King will draw his final breath. Even if you sneak into the bandit camp unseen, how will you handle all of them? Each of us is worth 24 in battle. Besides, we're well prepared. Chaos, confusion, and summoned monsters will be on our side. And fire. A lot of fire. What kind of secret entrance? An underwater path, winding along the swamp bottom. We had potions to breathe freely underwater. We couldn't see beyond our outstretched arms in the muddy water. And there were plenty of traps along the way. The Inquisitor learned all the signs that marked the safe passage. At least we believe she did. Please continue. We trudge through muddy waters. Suddenly a giant log studded with blades falls from above. I managed to stagger back, but the paladin who walked alongside me is now at Gory's sight, spread thin across the ground, explains his crumpled helmet. The next moment, a monstrous creature emerges from the darkness, a twisted cross between fish and monkey. Its clawed hand reaches out, effortlessly melting away the Inquisitor's flesh, then ripping out her heart. This is the king of the bandits, Dargut Droon. The bandit we captured did not lie, but the secret passage he spoke of led right into the underwater lair of his master. I bury my terror deep in my soul. There is no time for weakness. There are only 4 of us left, and we are grasping for air by the time the freak's lifeblood stains the water. We leave the beheaded body on dry land, then retreat and recover. Only now I allow my hands to tremble, my breath to race unbidden, my tears to flow. What kind of monster was this Dargut Droon? They say he was once a normal human, but he offended a powerful fae. She cursed him, turning him into a monster, but one bestowed with the ability to breathe underwater and melt human flesh with his touch. With these powers he became the Bandit King. Did you find anything useful in Dargut's lair? Oh yes, the Bandit King was a true collector of magical items. We lost 2 of our friends, but what we found there would help us finish what we started. So the bandit wanted to set you up, but he played right into your hands. You could say so. Dargut Droon didn't expect an armed party to appear there before him. But we were too unprepared for the encounter. The bandit's lie cost both sides dearly. Please continue. The next night we returned the same way. We swim up to the surface and quietly gather our bearings. Above us loomed the Drowned Trees, enormous dead trunks emerging from the water, bridges crisscrossing their branches. The air is filled with sounds of battle. Having lost their king, the bandits now battle each other for power, and we are ready to join the fight. We leave at dawn. Behind us, smoke rises up to the sky. The bandit nest smolders and blazes. Only 2 of us remain, the priest and I. We've won, but this victory tastes of ash, cinders and swamp ooze. I ask him, tell me, Isvanki, was it worth it? He puts his hand on my shoulder and says, yes, Jamandi. Now the stolen lands will be ours. I wish I believed him. Wow, I didn't expect that. I got goosebumps when I read Isvanki and then Jamandi. The storyteller heaves a sigh, runs his hand over his face and rubs his temple. Thus the expedition to the drowned trees came to an end. I must admit, it was no easy feeling for me to stand in the place of this daring woman. The steel of her soul was colder than ice. Wait, is this the story of Jamandi Outdory? But she's still alive. Some people become legends in their own lifetime. Jamandi has performed many glorious feats, and there may yet be more ahead. Yeah, if Jamandi has once cleared the stolen lands of bandits, why must we do it all over again? The death of Dargut Drone and destruction of the drowned trees weakened the bandits, but not for long. The paladin who died was a noble. It was he who was supposed to claim the stolen lands and send in his troops, while Jamandi sought another candidate, or a priest capable of performing resurrection ritual. A new bandit leader emerged in the destroyed fortress on the banks of the Tuskwater. Within the year, the stolen lands were swarming with gangs once more. Thank you for the story, storyteller. Your stories are amazing. You make it sound as though you're actually there in the moment. The storyteller nods. I gained this gift after I lost my eyes. When I touch relics, I can feel the thoughts and emotions of those who previously owned them. If the emotions are strong enough, I can even see the events that left those impressions. So much money. I'm at 25,000 doubloons. Alright, let's head outside. Oh yeah, also, I did some perusing on the internet, and I don't know how true it is or not, but on a Steam forum, someone confirmed. I don't know if he's like a developer or what have you, but he stated that there is an end game unique variant to each weapon, which is awesome because usually, you know, games will do like the core weapons and have like a unique variant of each one, but supposedly this one, like every weapon variant has a unique version that's viable late game. I'm not going to read all these guys' stuff. What I'm going to do is go check out these merchants, because I've explored or looked at their inventories previously. They've got some good stuff. I'm going to make a couple purchases while I'm here. I'm also going to talk to him. Hassuf. You see a dark-skinned, withy man with a weather-beaten face and a happy smile on his face. That's redundant. He's dressed luxuriously, and his dark hair and neat mustache are exquisitely coiffured. Sorry, if he's fancy, I say moustache. The man bows to you, spreading his arms a little. Hassuf from Absalom is happy to welcome you, your grace. Come, take a look at the best wares we traveling merchants have to offer. Please come, take a look. Tell me about yourself. My pleasure, your grace. The merchant smooths his moustache and commences his story with an air of importance, speaking in a sonorous voice, gesturing widely. Hassuf's family was not rich, and he, as many in Absalom, had to start from the very bottom. As a child, while his peers chased pigeons and stole apples at the market, he worked at a tannery. Oh, I can still smell this disgusting stench. The man pulls out a heavily perfumed handkerchief and handkerchief? Oh, I said handkerchief, but I think it's handkerchief, and waves it in the air. And by the way, tanneries do smell disgusting. Well, the young apprentice worked hard, saved every coin, and soon managed to purchase that tannery from his former master. Then as soon as he had enough money, he opened his own trading agency. After 10 years, countless deals, and many hours in his caravan, Hassuf was one of the most successful merchants in Absalom, thus writing his name indelibly in the history of the great city. The merchant looks at you with pleasure. Well, how was that? I'm looking for a writer so I can dictate my memoirs. I think many would find it interesting, and useful to learn more about me. What is the secret of your success, Hassuf? There is no secret. Perseverance, strength of character, attention to detail, the gift of persuasion, charm. All this, among many other things, are keys to success in my profession. But if I did have a secret, who would I be to share it with anyone? The merchant laughs merrily, his hands rubbing his sides. Personally, my number one key to success is comfort. You will never be successful if you're not comfortable, and if you're not comfortable, then you're not successful. It's a two-way street. But anyway, why did you leave Absalom, the center of global trade, for some young barony in the Stolen Lands? Ha ha ha, this is a long story. I don't think your grace would be interested. Come, tell me why you left Absalom, I insist. The merchant groans theatrically. Very well, as you wish, your grace. It was about a woman. When I was still young, I fell in love with the daughter of a judge, an important person in Absalom. For many years I tried to win her heart, but she was cold as stone. I should have given up. This is not in my character. In the end I did manage to win her love, but I was unready for it. Hasuf swallows and rubs the back of his head. As Abadar is my witness, the flames of hell burn inside this woman. I could not live with her for even 6 months. Tenderness and passion one day, screaming and scandal the next. Sometimes she would break into my office during business meetings to make up a jealous scene, and sometimes pulled me by my collar from the finest taverns in town. I couldn't sleep. I was nervous all the time, and it started to affect my business. I realized there was nothing else to do but run. Leaving her and remaining in the city would be impossible, even in such a city as Absalom. I decided never to return, and I still fear that wildcat of a woman will follow my trail. Hasuf stops talking and stares into space without blinking. Although sometimes, after a couple of jars of wine, I still remember her. Perhaps it was I who unleashed this tornado in her. If somehow I'd behaved differently. Alright, let's see what he has. He's got a lot of really good stuff. So, firstly, he has this Flaming Bastard Sword +1, which I was thinking about getting for our girl Valerie. But there's also Flame Guard. Oops, not actually intending to buy that. There are flames engraved on metal. So, compared to her current shield, it has an extra armor class, but it also has +3 resistance bonus on reflex saving throws, and fire resistance 10. I don't know how much fire we're going to be facing in the near future, but it seems like a solid buy all around. Also, when I find unique weapons like this, I will read the special inscriptions. So, Stratagem. This rapier is forged using an unusual technique. Its blade moves along an unpredictable path and deals unforeseeable blows. Yeah, full plate, leather armor +2, and he has a lot of good items here. One of the ones I am going to get is Trap Springer's Gloves. They grant a +5 competence bonus on all trickery skill checks. It's only 1,000, and I'm going to give those to Octavia. There are a lot of good stuff. I'm not going to look through it right now. 4,000? It said it was 1,000. Did I misread it? I did. 1,000 is how much I can sell it back for. Regardless, I think this is going to be really good. I think it's something you should buy early on. Go to equip it to Octavia. Or give it to Octavia. Yeah, she doesn't need that. So what I'm going to end up doing with her is actually giving her... Oh, wait, she can wear those both anyway. She's going to end up using ray attacks. Because ray attacks can trigger sneak attacks. You'll see. You'll see the build when it comes together. But she's going to use... She's going to be an arcane trickster that uses ray abilities or spells and sneak attacks. It's going to be very good. Anyway, let's go look at... Oh, Guardian of the Bloom is here. I did not know that. Verdal? Young dwarf, red-haired, neat, and surprisingly clean-shaven, stands leaning against a sledgehammer. Suppose you can't trust clean-shaven dwarves. But anyway, he's busy reading some book, but as you approach, he looks up and bows slightly. Greetings, your grace. I'm Verdal, a blacksmith. What can I do to help you? Tell me about yourself. What is there to tell you, Grace? I am a blacksmith. My father was a blacksmith. My grandfather was a blacksmith, and his grandfather too. Besides, every one of them are remarkably fertile, so I have plenty of cousins, second cousins, third cousins, and all of them are blacksmiths too. Pretty much all the weapons in my Mevin were forged by someone in our family. In Mevin. That's why... Or Mevon? Mivin? I don't know. That's why I moved away from the old home grounds. My skills are more useful here, that's for sure. You look a little unusual for a dwarf. Verdal sighs and runs his fingers through his hair. You expect to see a beard, huh? No offense, but what's the point of a beard? Especially when you're a blacksmith working with fire. You burn it once, dip it into lighting oil and catch a spark from the forge, and your beard is history. You're better without one. What are you reading? Verdal looks a little confused. Well, different things. It's nice to take a rest with a good book. Just now, it's Valor and Honor, 10 Adventures of the Splendid Willis Gunderson in Absalom. As your grace wishes. Alright. In his inventory, it's something beautiful. So he has a Cold Iron Earthbreaker +1. I'm very tempted to buy it right now, because I don't want to rely on this Cold Iron Dagger to kill the creatures that require Cold Iron, and it's a +1 for my main character. So I'm getting technically double the value out of it. He also has Adamantine full plate for 18,000. So if y'all don't know what adamantine does, it basically gives you, depending on the type of adamantine armor it is, it gives you damage reduction. So if it's, if it's light armor, it's 1 damage reduction, 2 for medium, and 3 for heavy. So not only would I get the defensive bonus of the full plate, I would also get the damage reduction for it, which is pretty awesome. He also sells... I thought he sold... Yeah, here it is, Mithril. He has Mithril armor. So Mithril, it actually, it has something to do with spell casting. I think it reduces your chance of arcane failure, right? Yeah, for heavy, because it's 25. Normally heavy would be higher. Let's see. Becomes wonderful material which create armor, occasionally used for other items as well. This decrease does not apply to proficiency in wearing. Spell failure chances for armor and shields made from Mithril are decreased by 10%. Maximum dexterity bonuses are increased by 2, and armor check penalties are decreased by 3. Again, really good armor. Let's see, full plate. Yeah, he has some good stuff. I'm really tempted to get the Earthbreaker, but I'm going to finish exploring the area before I make any final purchases. Alright, and Arsino here has a unique name. Woman in rich gold-embroidered clothes greets you with a polite bow. Oh, when I said I explored things previously, all I did is look at the inventories of the merchants. So everything else I see will be new to me. Her eyes, the color of molten gold, shine brightly on her dusky face. Greetings, noble ruler of these lands. My name is Arsino. I'm a messenger from the Temple of Abadar in Absalom, and I came here assuming the citizens of your young barony could use the services of a priest. Yeah, and then she sells stuff. Cool. Tell me about Abadar. With pleasure. Abadar is the god of cities, law, merchants, and wealth. The core of his teaching is simple. Law and order allow civilization to develop, which allows people to live in peace and prosperity. If Aristotle favors old customs, small settlements, and simple trades like hunting, then Abadar patronizes development, complex trades, order, and entrepreneurship. Each priest of Abadar finds something personal in serving him. Some believe that law is the main aspect of their faith, and they guard it zealously. Others put the well-being of their society above all. I personally follow Abadar's teaching that says civilization must penetrate the wildest, savage lands and help people live in comfort and safety. You're an Aasimar, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I think she's the first one we've run across this game. I suppose it's easy to tell, isn't it? Yes, I'm an Aasimar, though I'm not sure how or when the blood of Celestials appeared in my family. Among all my relatives and known ancestors, I'm the only one who inherited it. I must admit, I'm glad this lot fell to me. It draws more attention to me, a useful trait for a priest who wishes to gather a congregation. How did you come to be in my barony? That's a long story, and not a terribly exciting one. I was born and raised in Absalom, but I saw little point in staying there. What's the purpose in promoting the faith of Abadar in a city already so large and well-developed? No, I was drawn to backwater places, where civilization was just beginning to emerge. It gives me such joy to see the first stones of a new settlement being laid, or to see the wilderness that once harbored monsters and criminals become safe, cozy home for people. I devoted my life to my travels, choosing to visit places like your barony. Allow me to say, it's a place after my own heart. A city growing of the remains of a bandit lord's lair is exactly the sort of triumph of civilization Abadar prescribes. I hope my skills as a priest will be service to these lands and their denizens. If you're so eager to help the citizens, why do you charge for your services? It's a part of Abadar's philosophy. The rules of trade and exchange developed for a reason. They help bring order to our world, and they mustn't be broken without need. The opportunity to get what one desires for no effort has a corrupting effect on souls. Okay. Looks like I can go into all these houses as well. Well, may as well go in. Do I have to steal from my citizens? Yep. Alright, well. Give me your stuff. It's not stealing, it's confiscating for the greater good. Ooh, a belt. Of, I think Constitution. That's what orange is. Alright, more books that I'll eventually get around to reading. Some veggie tables. Alright, so the houses are just some free loot, it looks like. All about it. Let's go into this house, I guess. More stuff to sell. Oh, it's locked. Uh-oh. Well, that's inconvenient. I don't think I can use party members in the capital, can I?
Without a doubt.
Those are horses. Nothing more this way. Tristian's up here.
I will guide us.
Can I go into this house? Sure can.
Our path leads on.
Alright, let's go ahead and talk to Tristian. I think... Let's see. Alright, so that leads to the tavern. Let's actually check with Valerie, see if she has anything new as far as our, relationship is concerned. Oh, there's a bunch of people here. Delia? You see a stout man suited in well-worn armor. His face is framed with silvery stubble, and his fleshy nose is red and pockmarked. He radiates perfect calm. As you approach, he bows respectfully and with dignity. Highland, your grace, captain of the city guard. The young dwarf girl salutes you awkwardly. Delia, assistant to the captain. Happy to serve you, grace. I don't remember hiring a guard captain, or any guards for that matter. I came here from Rostov with a dozen of my best guards, by order of Lady Jamandi Aldori, your grace. I hired the rest from among the locals. Don't worry, your grace. We're now the subjects of the barony. We've sworn to serve you faithfully and loyally, and you can count on us. Besides, we draw a salary from your chests. The captain looks at the female guard, raising his brow, then sighs and looks at you. Of course, every one of us is ready to die protecting your grace. There's still some work to be done when it comes to discipline. You know that Dwarven Arthur Baldric Zabras? Garlic Tundras? The name escapes me. My boneheads used to read his books about guards' duty right on guard duty. I have to teach them a lesson or two. Let's see, I like to learn something about those who serve me. Of course, your grace. I've been a guard all my life. I started a snot-nosed runt in the Night Watch. Rostov is famous for its fencing schools. Young people from all over the River Kingdoms come to study there. It seems every other person has a sword, and every third thinks they know how to use it better than all the rest. A misspoken word or drunken fight can quickly lead to a stabbing rampage. That's why there are so many guards in the city, and they don't accept just anyone. Lady Jamani took note of my achievements and marked me for advancement. That's why I'm here. As for Delia, I found her on the street, about a decade ago. I remember vividly a tiny dwarf girl sitting on the temple steps, dirty-faced, barefoot, feeding a piece of bread to a stray cat. I saw her and my heart missed a beat. The captain looks away. Where she's from, who left her alone and why, only Aristotle knows. As she grew, I tried to send her to learn a craft, but who can talk sense into a dwarf? She wanted to be a guard, and that's that. So now I'm teaching her myself. Lucky she has a head on her shoulders and a fair bit of strength. Do the guards have everything they need? There are sufficient munitions and supplies, your grace. The salary is fair. We've enough to buy toys for the kids and a jug of beer when the shift is done. Of course, the town is growing. It'd be nice to expand the ranks, but we can manage that ourselves. Interesting. Not gonna lie, my throat is getting a little dry reading all this stuff. Let's talk to Tristian. Alright, he gives you a friendly nod. How may I help you, Donal? Tell me about yourself. About myself? I wouldn't know where to begin. Tristian pauses for a moment in thought. You know my name, my faith. I follow Sarenrae, and I have traveled from the Padishah Empire of Kalesh to here. What else do you want to know? Forgive me, but your manner and appearance don't strike me as Kaleshite. Tristian smiles softly. You have nothing to apologize for. Truly, I've received my name and appearance from my parents, who had come from Kalesh from afar. I never knew them, for the fate had separated us when I was young, so I grew up in Kalesh, raised by the followers of Sarenrae. My home is where my heart is, within the temples of the great goddess, among the wise and generous men that took upon themselves the care of a child that was so unlike them. I learned mercy and patience at an early age, and it is these virtues that have made me the man I am today. Do you enjoy traveling? Tristian nods, his eyes light up. Oh yes, no library and no archive, however large, would have never allowed me to learn as much of the world as I have on my journeys. It was only outside the temple walls I realized that every living being is a world unto themselves, a world where many contradictions and passions coexist. Each realm leaves its mark on the lives that live here, or there. Only by visiting it, by breathing the same air, walking the same soil, can you understand its people, what drives them, what frightens them, their dreams, and how they honor their gods. Doesn't being outside the temple make you uncomfortable? Tristian shakes his head. There are many ways to honor one's gods, Donal. It is true shrines play a role in the lives of many of the faithful, but even more find other ways to serve Sarenrae. The healing light values good deeds above all else. I cannot stand by and watch evil claim others. Tristian thinks for a moment and then raises an eyebrow. Perhaps that is another reason why I chose to go on my pilgrimage, leaving behind the temples of Kelesh. Tristian touches his chest. My faith is in my heart and in my hands. Millions honor Serenray and her temples, and my soul is filled with joy when I think of their devotion to the goddess. Nevertheless, my path is a different one. Do you know where you're going next? No, my thoughts were far from it, for my mission here is not done yet. It was not yet done. Tristian stares at you in surprise. Why do you ask? Do you wish me to leave your lands? Of course not. You're my comrade in arms. I trust you completely. Tristian's face lights up. What might I call him Tristian? It'd be easier. Thank you. I am pleased I could be of assistance. What can you tell me of Serenray? Serenray is the goddess of temperance and patience. She teaches us compassion for the wary and mercy to those who go astray. What would you like to know of her? Goodness gracious, so much to read. I'd like to hear about the history of your faith. There's much to tell, but I'm afraid I'd miss the mark, and I fear I would bore you. Is there something specific you wish to know? How did she come to be? Serenray is one of Golarian's eldest deities. Once she was an angel that gathered the armies of her celestial allies behind her. The battle in which she showed her valor decided the fate of a whole world, and in her victory she was rewarded with divinity. In the sacred text, Serenray is shown to be a beautiful bronze-skinned maiden, her hair dancing flame. Tristian smiles slightly, but her appearance is not what matters. It is the grace she brings with her touch, healing and salvation. Tell me about this battle you mentioned. What was the act of valor of Serenray? Her greatest moment of glory is her battle against the monstrous Ravagug, who threatened to destroy Golarion. Serenray delivered the strike that staggered the horrendous creature and allowed her allies to shackle it. Once the rough beast was captured, the goddess split the earth, and the gods threw the behemoth into the depths. Once it was done, the goddess sealed the pit and commanded her faithful to stay away from the scar that was left in the land. Tristian falls silent for a few moments. Alas, mortal beings are imperfect. Not even the most faithful among us can always follow the deity's commandments, even when such commandments are meant to save the world and their followers. I, for one, pray the goddess is never again as fierce as she was with Gormos. He mentions Gormos. What happened to it? Tristian sighs. An error of faith, perhaps a lesson, but it speaks of the danger when one listens to mortal words and one stops listening to their faith. Continue. Serenray forbade her followers from coming near the place of Ravagug's imprisonment. But some of her priesthood misread her will and began to preach of a sacred place where the mightiest of temples dedicated to the goddess were to be constructed. The people listened to these sermons and went forth to the lands touched by Serenray's scimitar. On the scar that sealed the well, they found Gormos, a holy city that was to become the greatest monument to Serenray. Unsurprisingly, after the city was built, faithful from all of Golarion traveled there to worship. Serenray sent omens and visions, urging her followers to leave this dangerous place filled with the dark will of the shackled Ravagug. But in their pride, the people misinterpreted or ignored her signs altogether, for they had already come under Ravagug's influence. Finally, the goddess sent her herald to the city, but the fanatics killed him. Realizing the people had turned from her, the enraged goddess smote Gormos, raising it from the face of the Golarion with a single strike of her scimitar. Tristian shakes his head. Today it's called the Pit of Gormos, a well of pain and suffering. Tell me about the Pit of Gormos. Tristian shakes his head. It is a great crevasse in eastern Kazmarin. The lands surrounding it are dead, soaked in poison. The Pit of Gormos seems bottomless, until someone dares gaze into its depths. All who have dared tell of a strange, distant glow, a glow that followed them in their dreams ever since. Throughout all of history, the Pit of Gormos has spawned creatures, hideous beasts of overwhelming power and driven by only a single desire, to destroy everything they see. Some were defeated, such as the nightmarish Ulanat, whose carapace to this day towers above the capital of Osirian. Others proved too strong to be defeated by mortal hands. Tristian frowns. The most terrible of them all was the Tarask, the Armageddon engine, who to this day lies dormant beneath Abystan. Have wars been raged in Serenray's name? Tristian sighs. Alas, yes. Terrible battles were once fought between the followers of Nethys, Norgrbur, and Serenray, in the lands now known as Rahudum. To my shame, I must admit that this conflict was started by my brothers and sisters. They came to a foreign land to make way for the goddess's light with sword and fire. That calamity became known as the Oath Wars, a catastrophe that led the inheritors of Rahudum to deny all gods, banning all faiths from their lands. Alas, the mortal vessel was imperfect. Even a pure faith may be distorted by blind ambition. Tristian goes silent for a moment, and great suffering may occur in its name. Whew, this is a lot of reading, guys. Bear with me. What are the teachings of Serenre? Solar Flame Goddess is the light of salvation, even to those who have been forsaken by other gods. She teaches us mercy and forgiveness, for as long as they may be useful to a soul's salvation. Make it sound like the followers of Serenre will try to find good, even in a bandit with a knife to their throat. Do not mistake compassion for weakness, Donal. One hand of Serenre is shrouded in healing light, the other holds a scimitar. Following their goddess, the priests learn to wield this weapon starting in childhood. They do not hesitate to use it if a dispute cannot be settled peacefully. Serenre preaches mercy, yet her compassion is not infinite. We give a second chance to all who ask, but if they reject it, if they persist in their sins, they will face the goddess's retribution. Are there any undeserving of mercy? Tristian blindly gazes past you in the distance for several moments. When he speaks again, his voice is quiet, reflective, as if echoing his thoughts. Undeserving of mercy, would even Serenre herself find the compassion to? Tristian shudders as if awakening from a trance. Forgive me, your words, they're not easy ones to reconcile, and even priests such as I, we debate them to this day. What is the point at which a soul is irredeemable, or is it failing of the priests themselves? These are difficult questions to ask. You ask, Donal. Questions wise men have debated for centuries. Does a being that has been tainted by evil to its very roots, that rejects its own salvation, still deserve compassion? Can those compelled to do evil by others still seek forgiveness? There's no easy answer on these issues among Serenre's followers. As for me, I believe that every soul carries a potential for goodness within, no matter the crime. The guilty may find forgiveness if they repent and cast off the evil that led to the deed. I believe this with all my heart, Donal. Yeah, I do not agree. There are crimes that cannot go unpunished. And in real life, I agree with that as well. In IRL, as some people would call it. Tristian folds his arms. What is of greater importance? A living soul, the laws of nations. I mean, there's... Inherently, man knows right and wrong. Anyway, whatever. One salvation or observance of rules. Know that I hold you in high esteem, but it's difficult for me to agree with you on this issue. Alright, what are your duties as a follower of Serenre? My goddess strives to see the best, even in the dark gods. She never abandons the hope of their redemption. The priests of Serenre follow her teachings, akin to the healing light herself, who emanates warmth and heeds the call of those in need. We aid the suffering in body and spirit throughout Golarion. The priests of Serenre are willing to help anyone, no matter the faith of the one in need. Each plea must be heard. Every misfortune deserves compassion, be it a peasant seeking a blessing for the harvest, or a murderer seeking repentance the night before their execution. Sometimes the merciful Solar Flame Goddess is the last thing that can save one's soul from ruin. We have no right to withhold it from the truly repentant. Let's see. How is Serenre worshipped? Many worship Solar Flame Goddess in her temples. Some make the pilgrimage to the Everlight Oasis. But even those who do not serve the goddess directly rarely shun the festivities dedicated to her. The Sunrot Festival, for one. Whew. What are the temples of Serenre like? Serenre shrines are often open to the sky and to the goddess's life-bringing sunlight. Her light fills the temple, and shrouds the parish in warmth, and grants its blessing to all in need. In Kelish, crowds gather during the services so that all may feel the blessing of the goddess. The most ingenious devices are constructed by some of the faithful to please the goddess. I have seen a temple of Serenre which housed a complicated array of mirrors, all to direct the light of the sun to the altar. Tell me of the Everlight Oasis. I've never been there. The stories say it is a wondrous place, sacred to Serenre's faithful. The oasis is located in Zelshabar, which lies in Casmaron. Pilgrims from throughout Golarion travel there, seeking the goddess's blessing. According to legend, the waters of the Everlight Oasis are imbued with healing properties, and anyone who bathes in them shall be cured of any ailment. Tristian smiles at thought. Just imagine, a place where people from all around the world come together to worship. What stories they must share. What is the Sunrot Festival? The Sunrot Festival takes place on the day of the summer solstice, when the prayers of every flock can reach Serenre the easiest. On this day, Kalesh blooms with color. In each corner of the Padishah Empire, the people praise their goddess by dancing and singing, setting off fireworks and flying kites. Hope this beautiful custom shall one day reach your lands as well, Donal. After all that talking and reading, I could just end it with this. It seems that your Serenre isn't worth anything. I've heard enough of Serenre. Oh, come on, man. Why do clerics want to talk so much? What brought you to these lands? I heard rumors. They say these lands are cursed, and the curses are growing stronger, as if something is granting them power. I could not ignore such rumors. What curses are you talking about? Tristian cocks his head to the side in wonder. Do you not see? Every word uttered in the heat of an argument turns into a prophecy here, just waiting to fulfill itself. And if it were only for the people, the land itself is seething with curses so ancient their origins are impossible to trace. Take the abandoned temple of Aristil where we met. What happened to it? What force compelled the priests to leave such a magnificent temple behind to the whims of nature? Will we ever know? I myself was nearly slain by beasts. Fortunately, you came along, following Jode, and saved me. I owe you a great debt. You've come a great distance indeed. Tristian laughs heartily. When you look at it that way, then yes, but please do not think that I came all the way from Kalesh because of mere curiosity. I was wandering long before that. As the custom of our faith, the farther our paths take us, the more people we may help. Why did Jode see you in his premonition? Srenray sees all the good gods and goddesses as her allies. Many have fought alongside the goddess against the menace of Rovagug, Aristil among them. By offering my prayer to Srenray, I let her know of my misfortune in the Temple of the Oak. The merciful goddess did not ignore my plea, but whom could have she asked for aid than Aristil, whose faith is strong in these lands? Right. Aristil had sent Jode a sign. You came just in time to rescue me, Tristian sighs. To tell the truth, I was certain my journey was at an end, and those creatures were to be the death of me. Alright, you've spent much time here. What do you think the future holds for these lands? These are cruel lands. As I came here, I bore witness to much pain and suffering, but I have seen equal kindness among those seeking to protect themselves and their loved ones. The people of the stolen lands are resolute and true to themselves. I admire their strength. Alas, I do not know yet what powers the curses that flourish in this land, but I swear I will not leave until we have the answer and the means to cleanse them. You must forgive me for not swearing on Srenray's name, but as of late I have troubled the goddess too much as it is, and it would better serve her through action, not prayer. Alright, you call yourself the Chosen of Srenray. What did you mean by that? Sorry, that was a mere jest. Other acolytes at my temple used to tease me with that title. This should tell you how pious and devoted I was compared to them. And yet, my faith is strong. Srenray knows that this and protects me in times of great peril. If something ever threatens my life, by her divine powers, I am transported to a safe location. Okay, so it's similar to Lindsay, how he won't die, he'll just abandon his party of fellow adventurers. And that'll be that. Bunch of citizens, guard. Alright, let's go see if Harem has anything to say. Alright. Let's go check out this house. Oh man. Alright, let's talk to Reg here. What do you want? Have a little chat? Alright, it's not like we have anything better to do. Tell me about yourself. What is there to know? I was born, I'm alive, haven't died yet. That's enough. That enough for you? Do you remember your childhood? Reg scowls. What a crap question. I was just a kid when they sold me. Before that, I don't remember much. Smoky fire, stinky hides, always bumping along on a horse. I think I was born in one of the Kelid tribes of Nymeria. There are many. Some survive on their own, some give up their pride and serve the Technic League. I guess mine was one of the cowards, if they sold their own kids. Remember my father's hands, rough, scarred, white? So I guess I get this green skin from my mother, but I don't remember her. I think I remember playing with another half-orc child. A brother, maybe? For some reason they didn't sell him, just me. Father gave him his dagger to play with, never gave it to me. I don't want to remember. Forget all this, I'm an orphan. Reg waves his hand wryly. I grew up a slave, that I remember well. So many things burned into my memory. Most of all I remember her, my Octavia. Today we're almost the same age, but back then she was twice as young as me. Just a child, but a brave one. Cunning, bold, and beautiful. The most beautiful girl in the world. What deity do you worship? Ha, I never got much help from the gods so far. But if you make me choose, I'd say Calistria. Is she known as the Savored Sting? Oh. Who else could I worship? The Savored Sting, the goddess of pleasure, fun, and revenge. Oh yes. Where did you get your magical powers? What magical powers? The heck are you talking about? Oh, you mean these. Reg makes lightning run over his hands with a contented smile, but snaps his fingers, invoking a shower of blinding sparks. I've had them since I was born. At least one thing I can thank my scum parents for. Maybe these powers are why they sold me to slavery. Think they were scared? Who knows? Darn Numerians. At the Technic League, they drew my blood, did experiments, burned me with fire, tortured me with cold, electricity. They told me, you won't believe it, they told me I have blue dragon blood in my veins. Not bad, huh? My dragon, you freaks. Come check my blood if you dare. Grinning, Red strikes his palm with a fist, and another fountain of electric sparks shoots upwards. Oh, man. What do your tattoos mean? They're magical. They help me control my powers. They technically gave them to me. I'd hope that somewhere in my body there's at least one sign left by my tribe, but no. I guess they didn't care to bother. To hell with them. They better hope I never find them. If I ever meet my father, I'll even the score between us. How do you manage to use both sword and magic and not cut off your fingers? Ha ha ha. It's simple. I'm just that bloody good. The half-orc gives a contented grin. Do you enjoy making people suffer? Poof. Why should I care about their suffering? I do what I want. If I step on someone's shoes, then they shouldn't have put themselves in my way. But chasing someone down just to torture them? That's only entertainment for maniacs like the technically. Well, on second thought, for them I would make an exception. I love to watch as I fry them nice and slow. But why do you ask? Do my methods shock you? Reg clenches his fist, buzzing with sparks, and laughs out loudly at his joke. Yeah, it seems to me you're no more than a common felon. Look who's talking. Who are you then, if I'm in your gang? An accomplice? Or maybe you're hoping to redeem me with friendship and good examples. You seem not to like people in power, so why are you helping me? What kind of idiot question is that? I'm not some revolutionary from Gault. Burn the palaces, eat the rich, pour power to the people. Bah, I don't care about all that. You're a decent lad, and your band is alright. You killed the Stag Lord, took his place, even got yourself a title. You're a real winner. A kingpin like that is worth holding on to. Better than cooking up a revolution. Oh wait, I've got it. You're afraid I'm after your throne. Haha. Relax. I don't need your sodding power. I'm fine as a henchman. Just make sure all that power of yours doesn't go to your head. You know how sometimes normal people get carried away and want everyone to lick their boots. If you go that way, I won't lie. I'll walk away and take my Octavia with me. But you seem alright, so the party goes on. Whew, man. Tell me about your life in Numeria. You mean my life as a slave? I didn't see much. Except for the slave barracks and the League's twisted laboratories. How'd you happen to become a slave? I was sold by my own tribe when I was just a little brat. The half-orc clenches his teeth, then spits on the ground and steps on it with his boot. So I grew up in a slave barracks. I was raised to be sold, like a battle animal. They tried to break me, but they picked the wrong brat. No matter how much you beat this animal, he only gets angrier. The half-orc punches himself in the chest and snarls. Why did your masters teach you magic? Can't you guess? Because magic is in my blood. That's why they bought me. I wasn't raised as some lowly mop slave, but as a murder machine. I fetched quite a nice sum of gold. You might also ask if they knew I'd take the first opportunity to rip their own guts out using everything they taught me. Ha! Of course they did, but that's the technically. They calculate the risk. Octavia kept pretending to be simple-minded, so they wouldn't expect anything of her. But I made every effort, though they didn't teach me much. What is there to teach? It's not book magic, it's innate. They made me practice with my sword more, but I did my best in everything. I studied all I could. They knew they were raising an enemy. They thought they could keep me on a short leash, or sell me to someone with deep pockets. So I become someone else's problem. But who won in the end? Who is free? Who will bury them all? The half-orc makes an obscene gesture in the northwestern direction towards Numeria. What else did you see, beyond your life in chains? What could I have seen? Well, when we ran, we went through Starfall. It's a fine city. Big, loud, many merchants, things to see, things to steal, but I didn't have much chance to walk around. It's the very nest of the sodding technically. We're focused more on getting out alive. We met some barbarians. I asked them who might know what tribe I'm from, but they didn't know anything. I don't have any tribal tattoos. Nothing. Actually, they were all right. Some of them. The Bloodgars, for one. They're great. All the rivers are theirs. We sailed with them during one of our escapes, almost all the way to Brevoy, and they didn't turn us in. But the White Scars got us after that. Those guys are crap. They sold their pride to the Technic League. Oh, one more thing. One time Octavia and I tried to escape and stumbled across a Numerian monster. I'll never forget it. A huge spider the size of a house, made of metal, spitting fire, shooting deadly rays all around. That thing could probably tear even a dragon to pieces. Ruined our escape plans too. We had to go back. Did you and Octavia try to escape? What do you think? Of course we tried. I stopped counting how many times. Jumped from windows, dug tunnels, choked out guards, or seduced them. That happened too. Those dirtbags caught us every time. Every bloody time. My back is covered with whip scars. Lucky we were prized property. They spent too much gold on us to kill us. Anyone else would be hung and forgotten, but they kept trying to break us and recoup their expenses. I don't know whether I could have survived by sheer stubbornness if it weren't for Octavia. I probably couldn't have. Would have just given up and died, but I had to pull my girl out of that meat grinder, and she believed in me, and had enough hope for both of us. When I lay there with my back slashed to pieces, she whispered to me about the River Kingdoms, where there is no slavery, where everyone can go wherever they want, and take whatever they want. I'll be darned, but I thought she was just making this up to keep our hopes alive. And now it turns out to be true. All of it. Every last word. No chains, no slaves, no laws. Just live and be happy. Is slavery legal in Numeria? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. There are some laws against it, but even in Starfall, a third of the people live in bondage. And that's the capital. In regions where the Black Sovereign's hand doesn't reach, they hold to tribal customs instead of laws. The barbarians don't keep slaves. Instead, they have thralls. Big bloody difference. And on top of all that mess, there's Technic League. Law and custom mean nothing to those slime balls. They just take whatever and whoever they want. What kind of relationship do you have with Octavia? Well, my Octavia and I don't have a relationship. We have a life together. How did you meet? Back when we were children, we were taken as apprentices by a great spellmaster, Janusz. Maestro Janusz, he called himself. He was our teacher. Well, he made Octavia read books and memorize spells. I have my own innate magic. He trained me a bit, taught me how to control my gifts so I wouldn't lose control and incinerate myself like a dummy. Oh, teacher, we will meet again. There's one more test I must pass. But you were asking about my Octavia. We've been together all our lives. We learned everything together. How to weave magic and how to survive. And as we grew older, we learned how to love. Without each other, we would have never gotten out of there, that's for sure. We would have given up and surrendered to death. But together, that's a very different story. Not the first time and not the 10th, but eventually we made it out. Why do you call her yours? She doesn't seem to like that very much. My girl loves freedom so much, and even slight chance of losing it frightens her. She is so smart. Really thinks she feels like I'm trying to make her mine, like an apple stolen at a market. Me, who was skinned alive for trying to help her escape. If she's afraid of the word my, it's because she doesn't understand the difference between my boots and my heart, but she will understand, sooner or later. Are you and Octavia faithful to each other? Octavia and I are connected. This connection cannot be broken. We grew into each other, you know? Jealousy is for weak cowards who don't trust each other and are scared of being tricked. If a knight on the side threatens your love, that just means there was no real love to begin with. And no real love there to begin with. She and I are together to the end. We will never part from each other. So when she likes some lad or some lass, it's no drama to me. I just ask her whether she wants me to leave them alone or join in, and she does the same. What, are you judging us? Maybe you just want to join us in our tent. The half-orc grins. I'm not here to judge, just curious. You asked, I answered. When you pry into others' lives, don't be surprised if you find something that will keep you up at night. How do you like it in my party? I think it's grand. You have a fine gang of lunatics here. I myself am no noble from high society. But seriously, Octavia and I never dreamed of a leader like you. We imagined we'd sit in the woods and rob wagons, maybe join a band of mercenaries. But we never expected to become the henchman of a local ruler. Not to mention such a pretty one. Reg winks at you playfully. Yeah, I'll joke with him. I thought you and Octavia were together. Wouldn't she be jealous? Yeah, alright, we've already read all this. Alright, there we go. Oh, man. Alright, let's go explore some bit. We'll come back and talk to Octavia after we loot more houses.
We march ahead.
Whew. Yeah, my throat is dry as crap. I should have brought should have a glass of water or something in here. It's not him. I'm parched. I think Octavia is the last person I really have to talk to. I haven't seen any other named characters. I haven't been to the tavern yet, though, so... we'll see. Also, don't feel bad about skipping this episode. It's not an exciting episode. It is entirely a filler episode, just so we can kind of keep progressing in the next one. Well, that's odd. Alright, so the well looks quite ordinary, and yet when you approach it, you feel a strange tingling in your temples.
Without a doubt.
Wonder if that's gonna play a part in like a quest later. How much money do I have? I still have 21,000. Alright, I'm still in a really good spot.
I will guide us.
I'm probably gonna buy the
Hello, my savior. You asked if we'd meet again, and here I am.
we're gonna talk to her because she's voice acted. It's gonna save me some of my voice. A savory aroma of herbs and flowers is the first thing that lets you know that your longtime acquaintance is here. Did I say lifetime? I meant long time. The nymph looks at you in a strange way, like she's never looked at you before.
I see your fate has changed since last we met. Now you are the ruler who will determine the destiny of these lands. I am their living heart, the whisper of the wind, the strength of rivers, the luxuriant growth of the meadows. Do you wish to touch this power?
I'm skeptical of her, because if you remember, when we killed the Stag Lord, he said he did everything that she wanted. And we don't know who she is.
I will show you a place where we can finally meet in flesh, you and I. Deep in the woods, there is an old mossy ruins long abandoned, nearly swallowed by the thicket. There is an old tree growing among the stones in the yard, which I remember as a seed. Shadow under its green crown I call my verdant chambers. Visit me there, my lord, and come alone. A nymph's reward awaits you.
Yeah, I don't trust her. I feel like I'm gonna go there and get attacked.
Forgive me, nymphs are not made for cities. The noise and vanity of human settlements vex me. I will answer all your questions, but there, in the silence of my asylum. So long. I will await you there, as the ground waits for spring under the heavy winter's snow.
Yeah, I'm very suspicious of her. Let me look at my quests. Troll trouble. So I'm figuring out how to
Our time has come.
wish those were organized a little better. That's fine. Let's talk to Octavia. Then we'll go to the tavern.
Leads on.
Oh, hello. Octavia gives you a fetching smile. Something you need? Could you tell me about your childhood, please? Octavia sighs. Too little. Some scraps of memories, no more than that. What exactly do you remember? Octavia reflects on that, tapping her finger against her cheek. Nothing special. Some images of a faraway past, that's all. I do remember wooden table legs. The paint on them was peeling off, and I was standing on my toes trying to peek at what was on the table. I remember the wild rose by the window. It kept me up at night, scratching the glass with its gnarled branchlets. I do remember my mother's blue dress. It was a trifle battered, but it smelled of lavender. Octavia wrinkles her forehead. I guess that's all. Not much there, right? All those memories, it's like they're not mine at all. I recall some images, and I know I should feel something about them, but I don't remember what exactly I should feel. So let them rot in a swamp with tatzelworms. Octavia grins cheerfully. My life's good enough without them. What do you know about your parents? You're half-elf, right? Am I? Octavia examines herself as if seeing herself for the first time. You know, I think you might be right. I'm rather slim and tall, and I can see well in dim light. She raises her hands and touches her ears. Aha, they're a bit pointy. Yes, I'm definitely a half-elf. Let's think about that logically. So my mother was an elf, my father was a human. Or maybe it was the other way around. My mother was a... Finally, Octavia can't take it anymore and bursts into laughter, having spoiled her own act. So that's it. Now you know as much about my parents as I do, she says after her laughter subsides. Do you remember how you were enslaved? I clearly remember the man who took me away from my home. He was big with a huge potbelly and shaggy beard. I was afraid he would eat me. Octavia shrugs. Anyway, he didn't stay with me long. He gave me to his slaver accomplices and I never saw him again. My mother was giving me to him. She was crying. I still barely hear her quiet voice, but I can't recall her words or her face behind the tears. Just that lavender smell. It tickled my nose and I wanted to sneeze. Did my mother sell me into slavery? But then why was she crying? If she didn't want me to be a slave, why didn't she try to save me? Octavia twirls her hair, pondering over the thought and sighs. One more riddle from my past that I don't care to solve. It must be horrible being unable to recall your childhood. Oh, I recall my childhood in rather bright details. It was spent in dirty barracks. I wore flea-infested rags and slept on a straw mattress instead of a proper bed. Octavia smiles humorlessly, though I understand what you mean. You know, to be honest, I'm not sure I want to remember my childhood before slavery. If I could remember what I lost, it'd probably just bring more pain. Octavia shakes her head several more times and makes herself smile again. So it's good that I don't remember much of anything. Will you tell me about your life in slavery? I don't like to recall it, but if you insist, Octavia frowns. The slavers from the Technic League tried to ruin my life, but all they could do was ruin my childhood. How do you happen to find yourself in the Stolen Lands? My enslavers from the Technic League funded a large expedition into the Stolen Lands. 100 agents, tens of slaves, wagons. We were to search for some ancient artifacts or ancient ruins. Octavia shrugs. Our group never made it to the Technic League hideout. Along the way, it was attacked by the future owner of the Stolen Lands himself, and I'll be forever grateful to him for it. Octavia winks cheerfully. So we didn't find the actual Technic League hideout. We found one of their encampments, which I think is what it was called anyway, so that makes sense. Did you have many masters over the years? Yes, many of them. Some owned me for years, others felt they had enough of me in a couple of months. Trust me, I did all I could to make every master eager to get rid of me. A slave that's trained in magic is a rather expensive thing, so they wouldn't kill me. At least that was the hope. So I drooled and played an idiot. I listened as every new master argued with my former one, trying to return me. Sometimes I punctured the pages of magic books I was forced to copy with a quill. Other times I pretended to mix up the spells, so instead of lighting a magic torch, I set dozens of dancing lights floating just below the ceiling. Of course, most of these tricks of mine usually ended badly. I got punished on a regular basis. My back still remembers the master's whips, though my scars from those times are long gone. Where did you learn to use magic? Well, I was taught magic by Janusz of Starfall. He was one of the most famous wizards in Numeria. Maestro Janusz, he insisted on calling himself. Octavia's voice overflows with contemptuous sarcasm. Anyone would be happy to learn from such a great master, and only a talentless girl thing, whatever. Let's try to keep my commentary PG, family friendly. Let's Player. Anyway, like me, would dare to reject his teachings and indulge in her laziness. At least that's what Maestro Janusz used to repeat constantly, while whipping knowledge into my back. The great Maestro was a big fan of punishment. Octavia's lips pressed into a thin line. Technically, he didn't care if a few slaves died under the Master's whip, as long as Maestro Janusz provided arcane trained one in return. Officially, there's no slavery in Numeria, but the Technic League is above any law. A slave with an aptitude for the arcane is worth much more than a regular one. The slave's repertoire is limited to the simplest and safest spells, of course. Have you ever tried to run away? What a silly question. Of course I tried. As soon as we saw even the tiniest opportunity to get free, Reg and I grabbed for it. Hey, she calls him Reg too. On one occasion, we jumped from the cart into the river. It was a time when we spent weeks trying to dismantle the far wall of the barracks and make a path out. Sometimes we attacked our guards when they least expected it. We craved freedom. We lived only to dream about it. Those short days, sometimes weeks that we spent on the run, were the happiest days of my life. We used to hide in the woods or blend in with the crowd on the streets of Starfall. Midnight stars were our guiding lights, and we shared our dream with them, to reach the river kingdoms. For in these lands there were neither slaves nor masters. We were starving and freezing, but that was the real life. Too bad it usually ended too soon. The Technic League agents always found us in the end. I don't know how they managed to do it. They probably used magic, or maybe it was just our fate. They whipped us and returned us to our old masters, or sold us to new ones, if the old ones refused to pay. So we were slaves again, but the dream about the river kingdoms never left our hearts. Have your masters ever hurt you? We know the answer to that. You figured that out, didn't you? Octavia narrows her eyes. Or maybe you want to hear all about the beatings I survived. The humiliations I've endured. Imagine the worst thing one person can do to another, and multiply it tenfold. That's what happened to me nearly every day in slavery. Masters? Oh, how I hate the word. Octavia shakes her head furiously, making her locks dance. They punished me because they wanted to hurt me, but what hurt even more was the mere fact of their existence. Octavia stops you, gently touching your hand. Wait, I want to tell you. She sighs and shakes her head as if trying to collect her thoughts. The Technically agents you rescued us from. Reg and I tried to run away many times, but they always managed to find us eventually. I have no reason to hope that this time they've lost track of us for good. Oh yeah, I won't let anyone harm those who are dear to me. Whatever happens, you can count on me. Octavia raises her eyes to you and gives you such a warm smile that you're unable not to smile back. In the depths of her eyes, you notice something that wasn't there before. This unnamed feeling hides in a moment, but you're sure you know what it was. Trust. Thank you, Octavia whispers, touching your shoulder. Suddenly she frowns in contemplation, twirling her locks. Still, I'd like to find them first. What kind of relationship do you have with Reg? Octavia shrugs awkwardly. We're together, she answers simply. The way you said we're together sounded unconvincing. Is something wrong? You've noticed. Well, I didn't mean that. Now I have to explain. Octavia shakes her head. I'm not sure I know how to put it correctly. You see, Reg sometimes seems to treat me like his property. He's always kind to me, and it feels good when we travel together, when we share a blanket at the campsite. But he always calls me my Octavia. I've told him over and over that I don't belong to anyone, that I'm my own, and that I stay with him by my own free will. He only grins when I say that. I bet he likes to think that I'm his. Never mind, though. I'll sort it out somehow. Octavia shakes her head, making the troubling thoughts go away. When did you meet Reg? Years ago, when I was studying magic at Maestro Janusz's. Reg was a student too, though you couldn't actually say he was really studying anything. Reg had his own ways to cast spells. He never needed the Maestro's instructions. You see, unlike wizards, Reg draws power directly from his innate bloodline abilities. Janusz didn't realize the nature of Reg's power when he took the young boy as his new student. And when he finally understood them, he just taught the negligent half-orc to control his powers, to avoid harming himself or the others. Reg and I have been together ever since. We could both use magic, but more importantly, we both craved freedom. We used to vow to each other that someday we'd break free of the unbearable captivity, or die trying. Together. Octavia gives you a warm smile. I guess it's good that we fulfilled the only part of that vow. Only the first part of that vow. You owe him much? Octavia winces. I don't like this owe word. I don't owe anything to anybody. Everything I do of my own free will. But to answer your question, yes, Reg has done a lot for me. I can't count how many times he was whipped by my masters because of me. How many times he took the blame for my doings. He never complained when they dragged him, beaten and covered in blood, to the slave barracks. He just groaned and clenched his fists while I bandaged his wounds with the scraps of my filthy clothing. We've always been together, my whole life, as slaves and as free people. I wouldn't be me if not for him. The fact that Reg is so impulsive doesn't bother you? That is a very delicate matter. Octavia winces, looking away. Reg means a lot to me, and he endured a lot for me, but some parts of him just scare me. He becomes extremely bloodthirsty when it comes to slavers. Don't get me wrong, I hate slavers with all my heart. And I'll do a lot to cleanse the world of their filth, but Reg, he'd do anything. Understand? Absolutely anything. I'm afraid that anger might kill everything good in him. I've attempted to talk to him about it many times, but he just won't listen. He becomes even angrier after our conversations. Octavia sighs, but sadly. My throat's got like a tickle in it for reading so much. I just have to ask, how do you manage to look so gorgeous even when we're out in the middle of nowhere? You worship Calistria, right? Yes, many slaves survived only thanks to their faith. Some lived hoping for a day when a good deity would deliver them. Some even offered deals to the evil gods. But me and Reg, Calistria has taught us the most important things. Expect no gifts from above, rely only on yourselves. Never forgive those who wronged us, but at the same time savor every droplet of pleasure we could squeeze from our bleak days. It's amazing how after all your hardships you still remain so cheerful and optimistic. Octavia's smile fades a little. I try not to view my life as a never-ending course of sufferings. Yes, I've had my share of hard times, but do I need to recall them? After all, along with the bad things, I had some good things as well. I had a dream and I followed it, and eventually it came true. Following that path, I met Reg and you. Now I'm free and surrounded by friends. Octavia's voice trembles with hidden emotions, but her smile remains warm and sincere. Why do you need to find the Technic League agents? I broke free from slavery, thanks to you. I've attained everything I dreamed of, my freedom and the opportunity to control my own life. I want to use this opportunity to fight the Technic League, at least the part of it that operates here in the Stolen Lands. I wish to free all the slaves from their Technic League masters. Octavia gives you a warm smile and gently touches your hand. I do believe that while we're together, we can achieve a lot. Even this. Alright, I'll say it. I have to ask, how do you manage to look so gorgeous even when we're in the middle of nowhere? Oh, so you've noticed. Octavia smiles slightly. My appearance is the result of daily effort, and it's not easy. Do you know how much time it takes to create a good makeup or to mend a dress, even with the help of magic? So if someday you wake up early, an hour before dawn or so, you can actually check on me. You'll see how I prepare myself for a new day. Oh, Octavia, the flower of the stolen lands, you're as beautiful as you are dangerous. You strike down monsters with your spells as you strike down people with your beauty. You're a real sweet talker. I feel all flushed. Octavia fans herself with a hand. Well, now I have to pay even more attention to my looks. For now, I know for sure that it's someone who appreciates my efforts. Oh my goodness. Alright. Let's go to the tavern. How long has this episode been? Almost an hour and a half. It's not as bad as I thought it was. I thought I was pushing 2 hours here. Nice lengthy episode, but then we'll be free to do what we want in the next episode. Kind of getting things done that I've been wanting to get done anyway, so it works out. And after I'm done talking, I'm probably going to do inventory management and buy the stuff I want to buy from the merchants and everything off camera. Then at the beginning of the next episode, I'll show and explain everything that I did. At least that's the plan. Alright, there's citizens. There's a table I can examine. Scattered ink stains suggest Lindsay may have spent some time here. Alright, there's a bartender. The Beer Mug Inn. It's a very creative name. Alright, yeah, Emiri's here. Let's see if she has anything to say. Hey, and Norio 8 Eyes. I can hire people. Alright, so I've proven yourself to be... have you proven yourself to be a mighty warrior? I may have. The trial is finished, and if someone ever doubt me, I prove it. I think it's supposed to be doubts me. Mary shakes her fist at an unseen offender. So I'm the chieftain of your new tribe. What do you expect of me? Tribe always must have plenty of food. Tribe's enemies must be tough, not some easy scum. Tribe's fighters must challenge the strongest enemies. Also, well, Amiri contemplates deeply. You must rule a tribe, make big decisions. She waves her hand vaguely. I feel like they stunted her English. Like, she didn't talk like this before we had the capital. Like, she still had pretty, coherent language skills. I don't know what happened there. Speak few word. Few word better than many word, or whatever the heck. Like Kevin from The Office. Alright, some more stuff to sell. I'll take it. Sorry, citizens. Of course, that's locked. Lindsay, get up here and open this stuff for me. It's Jathal's room? It's pretty nice. Big old bearskin rug. I think a nice touch would have been having it be an owlbear skin rug. That's just me. Alright, let's go talk to the bartender. I think that's the last person I have to talk to, right? Behind the inn's bar stands a young woman with curly red hair, a round face, and rosy cheeks. She gives you a friendly smile, fixing her cap. It's so nice of you to stop by, Your Grace. I'm Alina, the innkeeper. It's just what treats you have. Alright, so she sells the rations here. Important to keep track of, because I keep forgetting to buy them regardless. Tell me about yourself. I'd be happy to, Your Grace. I love to talk, especially about myself. Where are you from? What land? Which family? I hail from the River Kingdoms. Arcanum, to be precise. I'm from a farming family. Like just about everybody from around here. There's more fertile land and pasture there than anywhere in the River Kingdoms, except for maybe 7 Arches. The folks who grow crops and tend cattle are well respected there, but at the same time they live in constant danger. There's too many bad people, too lazy to work all day, but don't mind taking other people's things. Why did you decide to become an innkeeper? I was bored. Please don't get me wrong. I was fine at Father's farm, and I've got nothing but respect for farmers' work. But in our backcountry, you could go half a year without seeing one new face. No news, nothing happening. I've dreamed of working at an inn since I was a child. That's the kind of place where there's always lots of guests and stories. Where does the inn's name come from? I don't ask, it's too funny. I kept thinking about what name to pick, choosing just the right one, but not one to waste time. I drew a beer mug on the door. I figured folks would just see it and come on in. So the locals got used to calling the place the Beer Mug Inn, so the name stuck. Tell me about the River Kingdoms. A month wouldn't be long enough to tell it all, Your Grace. Each kingdom is a special place all its own. Elves live in one of them, another one half the country belongs to the Murderers Guild, and the other half gives them their orders. They say they even get local discounts. There's just one thing that unites us all. Like a strong thread, it keeps a quilt together. It's the 6 River Freedoms. The 6 River Freedoms? Yes, the first freedom. Say what you will, I live free. Doesn't mean you won't get beaten up for what you say, though. The second freedom, well, if you can call it a freedom. Oathbreakers die. Those who break oaths get killed just like that, so people prefer not making any oaths at all. The third freedom, walk any road, float any river. Once the ruler of Highbar decided to build a gate across the river and collect a fee from each passing boat, well, there's no more Highbar. The fourth freedom is even worse than the second one. Courts are for kings. Whatever a king says goes. Well, as long as he doesn't say to build a gate across a river. Now for the fifth. Slavery is an abomination. Nothing to explain there. Runaway slaves from all over come to us for a reason. And the sixth, you have what you hold. It means that theft is a much worse crime than robbery, if you catch my drift. You can honestly beat a robber and keep what's yours, but a thief acts on the quiet. Shame on him. That's just disrespectful. Alright. And that's all the conversating I plan on doing this episode. Oh, this thing over here. Whew. But we caught up with all of our companions. Someone carved a body poem about the origin of the name of the Stag Lord. Caught up with all the conversations with all of our companions. We now know everything about all the ones currently in our party. We've explored the capital, at least everything that we have so far. We made a lot of money talking to the storyteller. It's a very long episode, but I think it'll be worth it to kind of just keep everything going in the next actual episode. Again, not a very exciting episode, so I don't expect people to sit through the whole thing. It's very uneventful. But if you want, if you should like the lore and the companions' narratives. Anyway, off camera, I'm going to go ahead and deal with the inventory management with the merchants, buy some stuff, sell some stuff, equip some stuff, and all that stuff. Anyway, yeah, we'll pick up in the next episode, hopefully with some action. We'll probably do the, oh, that's my main quest thing, so maybe I don't know. We'll see what we'll do in the next episode. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I hope to see y'all in the next one.